Dr. Wright and Dr. Wimberly, it seems like you drew on such a rich body of literature and research. Can you share a little bit more about how you came to understand cultural memory and how you used your research to understand cultural memory?
Mm-hmm. Well, what we did was to look at a swath of materials that are mostly narrative. We looked at the prayers of Black people. There are 300 years of prayers in the Washington volume, Conversations with God, but prayers that appear in other resources that are so rich in joy. Joy that was searched for, a joy that was found, joy that was claimed, joy that was passed on in the prayers to God. So prayers was one. A second one was in songs, and songs from the past to the present, from slavery forward, really are incredible, rich sources of really showing joy that is transcendent. Mm. And of course, that means that we go through these resources to look at the multidimensional nature of joy, mm-hmm. That is searched for, that's embodied, that's expressed, that's resistance, and so on. So we also looked at poetry. And how joy is not simply implicit, but searched for person to person, but even in nature, the connection with the ecosystem, and what one finds when one walks in the sunlight, mm-hmm. and finds joy simply by looking at the sun or looking at flowers or looking at nature, and then joy in sermons that reveal what it is that's prophetic about joy, and that's what's pastoral about preaching about joy, and what's vocational, that one teaches about how one claims it but also passes it on to someone else.
So we had a really great time looking at this large swath of historical resources, and in addition to that, we also were making sure that we gave attention to the historical material, but also some of the contemporary things. And so we also began to see examples and sources of joy all around us. So we saw things on the internet. For example, the Philadelphia Inquirer this past February for Black History Month ran a series and collected examples of Black joy, so we also mined those. We also looked at popular things that were going on around the internet with like the Black Joy Project with a young artist named Cleaver Cruz right here in New York City. And so we were able to see that joy in our research was not just, we were looking at these past sources, but it's an ongoing conversation. Mm-hmm. So there was not just what we could say, we're only going to go from slavery until the civil rights movement, but if we'd stopped there, we would have missed a lot of materials. And so for us to be able to pay attention to this large time span was actually a joy to us, to be able to discover these many different sets of resources. And it also added to how we were able to think about joy, or maybe to define it, because we were seeing that sometimes you would get an individual really searching for joy, and the joy would look like something that's not really there yet, something that they're lamenting. Mm-hmm. But then we also saw at other times there was a joy in spite of, this idea that you're just really going to claim joy even if the circumstances don't support it. And so we were able to see many different aspects of joy by looking at the different types of literary sources as well as contemporary stuff.
And also what was equally powerful for us was the awareness that young people today are talking about joy. Mm-hmm. They're searching for joy, they're talking about it, and they want joy in the midst of such mayhem that they're experiencing on a daily basis. And they're saying that, there is joy, and in spite of what is going on, and they want to see it, and they want to claim it, and they want to talk about it.